Hello, hello. Welcome to zero point 0.4. You're about halfway through Unit 0 now, so keep it up. And remember, if you've got questions, we're here in the class to help. So for zero point 0.4, we're going to be talking about using technology in the classroom. You're using technology right now. We have so many different tools that you can use in the classroom and some that you will have to use in the classroom. So our learning target for this lesson is that you'll understand how to use these technology tools effectively and ethically to get the most out of them in this class and in general. So there are two key parts of how to use technology, because how is not just knowing what to do to make it work, it's knowing how you can use it in an appropriate way in the classroom. We've got so many powerful tools today, and more are coming out constantly that can help you out in school, in the workplace, in your daily life. So, what I really want to stress is that in order to fully take advantage of these tools, you need to understand two main things. And this is what we're going to be coming back to all throughout this whole lesson. One, how do I effectively use this tool? And two, how do I ethically use this tool? So, we'll talk a bit more about what those two pieces mean. So, using a tool effectively means that you understand how to get it to do what you want. You can use a tool if you only know the basics, but you can get a lot more out of it if you learn more. Consider the example of a car. As long as you know how to accelerate and brake and hopefully turn, you can use a car. You might not be the best driver in the world, but it can get you from point A to point B. But if you understand a bit more complex ideas, how to interpret all these road signs, what do you do when something unexpected happens, you'll become a much better driver. You'll be able to get from place to place quicker and more safely. And you can even learn some advanced tools. Not everyone who drives has to know basic car repair, but if you know how to take good care of your car, you're going to be a better driver and you're going to get more out of your car. The same thing is true of tech tools. The more you know, the more effective you can be. Part two is how do I ethically use a tool? And that means you understand your responsibilities when using a tool. You can use it to support yourself without harming yourself or others. To go back to the car example, in the United States, you need a driver's license in order to be able to drive. That means you have to prove you understand the responsibilities of driving a car. So, at the very lowest level, to ethically drive would be to drive safely, not get into risky maneuvers, cause crashes, get into road rage. But it could also be broader things like understanding the environmental impact. Maybe you remember to turn off your car instead of letting it idle so that you're not contributing too much to pollution. And of course, using it ethically means being cautious. Not using your phone while you're driving is part of being an ethical and safe driver. So let's look at some actual tech tools that we use frequently in class. First up, Schoology. You use it all the time. You used it to get to this video. So let's look at some examples of effectively using this tool. In order to effectively use Schoology, everyone needs to know the basics. How do you log in? How do you view courses? You really can't use Schoology without that. But to use it more effectively, you can understand some intermediate skills. Do you know how to check your grades for each of your classes and tell the difference between formative work and summative work? Do you know how to send messages to your teachers on Schoology? And you can look at some expert skills as well, things you might not be using every day, but will help you use Schoology to its fullest. For example, can you upload audio and video in addition to just submitting tech assignments or written assignments? Ethically using Schoology can look like several things. You're regularly checking announcements and deadlines so that you're taking responsibility for your work, you're always on top of what you need. Ethically using Schoology would also mean using the materials and resources on there to aid with your learning. If your teacher puts up a study resource, using it isn't cheating, it's a resource to help you learn. So that is ethical use. On the other hand, unethical use, something you shouldn't do, would be submitting someone else's work as your own. This is unethical. It's breaking your responsibility to use this tool. What about Google Docs? We're going to be using this one all the time as well. Effectively using Google Docs, well, the basics you need to know: how do I create a new doc? How do I fill it out with some simple writing, simple formatting, so that I end up with an actual document? Intermediate effectiveness could be things like inserting images and links or creating a table to organize your ideas. But Google Docs has a lot of possibilities. At a more expert level, maybe you know how to add footnotes or add bookmarks with quick links. So you click something, it takes you right where you want to go. We actually have an aspire to do, or no, should do in this lesson that'll give you more practice with Google Docs, so you'll see that later in the lesson. Ethically using Google Docs could mean reviewing your work and editing it before submission to remove errors or incorrect information. You want to make sure the info you're sharing is reliable. You could use appropriate sharing settings. So that could mean making sure that it's viewable to the teacher, but that could also mean keeping it private if you want, to make sure that it's not just available to anyone. Of course, just like Schoology, ethical use means submitting your own work, not turning in someone else's work as your own. And if you borrow ideas, like if you use a website or a newspaper article, make sure to give credit to the source that you got it from by using citations, which we'll talk more about later. Now, the big remaining question is, what about AI tools? AI, or artificial intelligence, has been making huge advances recently. And these new tools can be super helpful in school and life, but like any other tool, we need to know how to use them effectively and ethically. That's what we'll be looking at in step 2, which is another must-do. We'll look closely at AI tools like ChatGPT and make sure you know how to use them and how to get the most out of them. Before you go on to step 2, make sure you've finished your packet notes for 0.4 step 1. And if you have any questions on using technology tools effectively and ethically, let us know.